Hello, I'm Nick Patterson, obviously, and this is my rabies presentation. Did you know that only one person has ever survived rabies and lived to tell the tale? That's not actually completely true. Rabies is very preventable in most first world countries that have access to good healthcare and fast transportation, but once it does reach the brain, the fatality rate reaches almost 100%. The Milwaukee procedure can be used to sometimes, in a couple scenarios, save a patient from rabies when it has reached their brain, but that has only happened a couple times in history. And after this procedure, all of the patients except one have gone into a coma and died. First, let's start with the history of rabies. We don't actually know when rabies was first discovered, and it was referred to by many different names throughout history, but the first written acknowledgement of rabies was in 2300 BC. This was in the Mosaic Ismuna Code of Babylon, and it stated that citizens had to pay a fine if their dog transmitted rabies, or what we think the word they used for rabies was, to another person or animal. Many old pieces of art depict crazy-looking animals biting people, as shown on the left, and a lot of historical experts and scientists believe this to be a example, basically, of rabies. The first primary vaccine for rabies was developed in 1885, as you can see up top. It was very ineffective. You had to get it almost an hour after the animal bit you, and any time after that, it would mostly be inefficient. So it was not very effective, and over time, it increased to be what we have today. You can take it as soon as or as late as you want, as long as rabies hasn't gotten to your brain, it will work. But this primary vaccine did save a lot of lives. This leaves actually 1.5 million days between rabies was first recorded and the vaccine was found, which I find kind of terrifying. I don't know, just fun fact for you there. So what is rabies, I guess? Rabies is a lyssavirus under the subclass of virus called Rhabdoviridae. In this class, there are three subclasses of virus: lyssaviruses, inferomoviruses, and vesiculoviruses. Lyssaviruses in particular are bullet-shaped and have a single strand of RNA-type genome. Lyssaviruses are capable of infecting vertebrates and invertebrates. The infection cycle of rabies is relatively simple, but very deadly, obviously. First, rabies will penetrate a muscle near where the host was bitten. As you can see in this picture, let's assume you were bitten in the arm. Rabies is going to go into one of your arm muscles, and it will stay in there for an unknown period of time. It can be anywhere from a couple days, a couple hours, a couple months, even a couple years in some cases. And scientists don't really know why, but it is not able to be detected by your T cells off the start. Our best guess for that is that it replicates too slowly, but in cases where it spreads really quickly, it also doesn't get detected. We don't really have an answer for that. But once the virus decides to spread, it will go to your nervous system and try to get up to your brain. Once near your brain, the virus actually has a way to pass by your brain-blood barrier, and then it will get into your brain, and that's where it causes pretty much all of its damage. If you can stop it before this point, you're going to be okay. But the problem with rabies is that once it's in your brain-blood barrier, your T cells, which are your immune cells, actually aren't able to follow it through that barrier because of the way our brains evolved to keep everything out. They also keep our immune cells out. So rabies pretty much gets free reign to do whatever it wants in your brain. If T cells do get through, sometimes a couple can slip through to try to stop it. Rabies is actually able to gather a bunch of viruses and take the T cell down with them. So once the rabies is in your brain, there are a lot of different symptoms you can get, and a lot of these come from, obviously, rabies being in your brain. Patients or infected animals are very agitated. They can get irritated easily. They experience fear, seizures a lot of the time. In early stage humans, you can see migraines, obviously the classic hydrophobia. Some patients will get hallucinations